Greetings and welcome everyone. My name is Frankie Valinda G and I'm here to talk with you about Around the Piano character building through music. Today is a special session. This is a recap and an expansion on a workshop that I did with some teachers from the Prince George's County Public School District in Maryland. We had a virtual session that was co-hosted by Marlo Castillo and sponsored by the Prince George's Arts and Humanities Council. We had a wonderful time and lots of conversation and lots of participation. It was really exciting. Today I want to take an opportunity to fill in some of the blanks. We had 3 hours and it was action-packed, and there were some questions that I didn't get to answer and also some thoughts that I didn't get to share. So today I'm just going to take a breath and take some time and share that with you. If you're tuning in to Around the Piano for the first time today, you're going to be fine. This is totally, we're going to recap a lot of what we did. I'm going to do a lot of explaining, so don't feel like you need to go back to a different video. This video is for you as well. I want to tell you that I'm going to show you what we're going to cover today, and then that way, depending on what your experiences is and what your needs are, you can skip ahead to different places in the video. So, welcome, and here we go. I'm calling this video, the subtitle of this video is Getting to This is Easy. I want you to be able to, when you want to add Around the Piano to your classroom or to your workplace or your family outings or whatever it is you want to do, celebrations, I want it to be easy. I want it to be easy for you, and I don't want you to need any special tools or any special skills to make this happen. So I'm trying to get you to easy here. So what this recap and expansion will cover are the things you see right in front of you here. I'm hoping to cover the basics. What is Around the Piano, which I call ATP. Talk a little bit about virtual versus in-person and the different combinations of that. We're going to talk again about setting the space and sharing favorite songs, which we didn't get to do a lot of in our workshop. Using the resource with no piano, guitar, or accompaniment, and also some ideas about how you can easily find some accompaniment. I'm going to talk to you about teaching a new song and some music vocabulary. We're going to talk about our men and boys with changing voices. We're going to spend some time on lyric writing and why it's so important and powerful to share the lyrics with the group and have the group participate in that. We're going to talk about ideas for including diverse populations. We're going to talk about personal code of character conversation starters and how to write a personal code of character. So I will see you in the next slide. There we go. All right. Around the Piano character building through music is a resource for teachers and team leaders, coaches, and family members to use music as a bridge to talking about character and choices. It can be used in any curriculum. It can be used in almost any setting. Very flexible. The idea is that you take the benefits of group singing, which are physiological, psychological, and emotional, and you take the benefits of group singing and you add it into whatever you're doing. I know some of you have probably experienced those camps that you go to where you have to climb a rock mountain, or you have to fall backwards into someone's arms and develop trust. Singing in a group does all of that. You are together, and the minute that you start singing with someone, you're in their space with them and you become connected. We know that if you and I are singing the same words to the same song at the same time, we're gonna have a tendency to breathe together. We're gonna have a tendency to have our heartbeats line up, and we're gonna be thinking about the same thing. The words are coming out of our mouth. This is a little bit different. This is where group singing is different from playing an instrument. You can be playing the flute and thinking, you could be making up your own lyrics in your head. But if you're singing and I'm singing and the same words are coming out of our mouth, we're going to be a little bit more connected there. There is a physical aspect to it. You're going to be increasing your breath capacity. You're going to be changing your posture to a more positive posture. You're going to be self-aware of what your body's doing. We're going to add movements. We're going to do warm-ups, things like that. So all of this is very physical. The emotional benefit of writing and sharing lyrics is huge. When you take your thoughts and your feelings and write them down, and what emotions that you're going through, what's going on in your life, you write that down, and then you share it with a group. That is powerful. But when you take that to the next level of having them sing those lyrics back with you, that is huge. So we'll talk about that a little bit more later. But Around the Piano basically is the way the resource works is you get a bunch of people together and you get them into a space that they're comfortable in. You talk about what the rules for your time together are going to be and how you're going to be positive in your assumptions about the other people in the room. You're going to give everybody an opportunity to redefine themselves in more positive ways. So if someone comes to you and says, today I'm going to be a participant, or if they show you through their actions that they're going to be a participant, even if that's not who they normally are, we're not going to be surprised by that. We're just going to let them be the person that they chose to be today. So we're going to set a space where everyone is comfortable and relaxed, and we're going to do a lot of things to get everybody into that comfortable space. Then we're going to start singing together. We're going to start singing simple, easy songs together so that everybody can be successful. We're not going to worry about, does it sound great? We're not going to worry about, is it perfect? We're going to just be singing together. And then once we're singing together and talking together, we're going to delve a little bit deeper, and we're going to give people opportunities to tell stories about their personal lives. And we're going to give them an opportunity to tell us what they think being a good person is. Building a code of character is not about telling someone how to behave properly. We've got lots of programs for that. This is about asking a person to look at their own life and their own actions and their own experiences and ask the question, how do I know when I'm doing the right thing? And it's more about how you feel and what you want. And then you use your personal code of character to get you through life in a more positive and comfortable way. So in setting the space for Around the Piano, oh wait, I have to go back. So we're going to talk about virtual versus in person. So, beep. The workshop that we did on December 9th was virtual. Everyone was virtual. So I was here in my house, and everybody was out in their house. We even had a wonderful lady in her car, and that is fine. That works because we're all connected and we're all looking. We had cameras on and we're looking at each other and we can hear each other. It is fine and it is functional. Some of what we miss in the virtual is when I ask a group of students, say younger people, to write a story or create something, there are students who might be missed in a virtual setting because I'm not at their house with them. I'm not able to look at what they've actually written down, because some students will, you ask them to write something, you can see that they're writing and they're thinking about it and they've done the work, and then you ask for everyone to share and that person will say, I don't have anything, or they'll just not raise their hand. So what I do in that situation when I'm in person is I wander around and I make sure I'm looking down at pages, and I make sure that I can talk to every student, and if I haven't heard from someone out loud, I can kind of look over their shoulder and say, can I see what you've written? Is it private? Can you share it with just me? I promise I won't tell anyone. And in that way, you're still honoring their work, and you're still giving them feedback, and you're also getting to know that student a little bit better. So that's one part of it, is that I can't see what's on anybody's desk. The other part of the in-person versus virtual is we miss when we're virtual, we miss the everybody in a circle. We miss the looking directly in a person's eyes and seeing, do do they mean what they say? If someone says they're fine, are they actually fine? And you can see a little bit more of that when you're in person. I'm looking at a screen. I've got several faces, and there's always some that are blanked out because they aren't in a place that they're able to share the inside of their house with me, which is totally fine. But we do miss something. The other thing that we miss being in sync. So when we are virtual, without using any extra apps or any extra software, when I sing and the people in my virtual meeting sing with me, we're not together. We don't get to hear what it sounds like in real time as a group. That is very powerful. When you learn a new song and you're singing it in a group, it is super powerful when you can actually hear what your voices sound like together. So even if you're doing a virtual around the piano, I highly recommend that you unmute, even if it's just a bunch of chaos, so that some of that spontaneity of the voices being together is heard. So one more thing about virtual versus in person. If I am virtual as the team leader or the session leader, but everyone else is in a room, that's perfectly, you can do that because they can get in a circle and hear each other, and they can, even if you have to be socially distant, they will have their voices in the room. And when that happens, I'll just mute so that I can hear everyone in the room with the teacher and the classroom. So if you want to have Frankie G lead an Around the Piano workshop for your classroom, and I'm just up on your big screen, I can participate in that way, but we get the benefits of group singing because there is a group. If you are doing a workshop for a group of adults or people in different offices, I highly recommend pulling them into the same room, at least 2 or 3 together, so that you can get some of that benefit of having people in the room. When we talk about the power of sharing your lyrics, that also works better in person than virtually. There's a lot we can do virtually, and there's nothing, you're definitely making progress, and it's definitely worth doing virtually, but just to be honest, it's definitely better if at least the group, the classroom, can be in 1 or 2 spots. At least if there are 2 or 3 people together, then you get that benefit. So I highly recommend, if you are a teacher who's looking to have an Around the Piano session that is led virtually, that you at least have someone in a room with a group of people that can make that happen. Okay, so the next thing I want to talk to you about is, so this is beep, next section. Little pause. I'm leaving a pause so that people who want to skip ahead can do that. So, setting the space. In and Around the Piano session, we are asking our participants to take some walls down. We're asking our participants to step in out of their comfort zone in the same manner as a trust fall. So we want to make a place that is decidedly different from the place where they're not letting their walls down and they're not sharing their inner selves and that kind of thing. In a classroom, I say sometimes all it is changing the lighting. Turn the lights down a little bit if you have a dimmer switch. Sometimes it's opening the lights, opening a window or something like that. In a perfect world, you have a space that you can go to, somewhere in your classroom or in your school where you can actually bring those people who you want to participate in the Around the Piano session together, and they can see each other in a different way. It's important that as the leader, as the classroom teacher or the presenter, that you become a part of that space with them. Of course, there's going to be some I'm talking, you're listening kind of thing, but that should be something that anybody has. If a student is talking, then they should be the center of attention. I love the circle. If there's any way that you can circle, that's perfect. Again, that's where the Around the Piano comes from. It's coming down around the piano like a family singing at a a holiday celebration or a campfire. It's that feeling that we're trying to get. So if you can change it from that leader to listener setting, that is awesome. I like to encourage people, whether it be virtual or in person, to do something to set the space so that it's different from just their regular routine. To bring a special glass of water, light a candle, do whatever it is that makes you know, okay, I'm in this meditative place where I'm doing around the piano, and this is for me to go deeper. All right. So what we do to set the space is manyfold. One of them is the warm-up process, which not only is good for your singing voice and your singing mechanism and your breathing mechanism and your posture and all of those things, it is a way to get everybody in the same space and thinking about the same thing. So we do warm-ups before we even start talking about things. We warm up our bodies. The other thing that I like to do, there's a couple of things. So if you have an entry task as people are coming into your space, that's one, because you get everybody thinking about the same thing. I like to do a conversation starter. Like for this workshop, our conversation starter was, the world will be a better place when more people are. And we asked people to fill in the chat, and we had things like kind, intentional. There were lots of different things that people said, and then we saved that for later. But that was a way to get everybody involved. So then we did our warm ups. The one thing that we didn't get to do with this group, because I knew we weren't going to have as much time, is when you sit people around in that circle and you let them talk, you ask the participants, what would keep you from participating fully in an around the piano session, and or in any kind of situation. And what I found from students is they say, if people laugh at you, if people correct you too much, if people look at you funny, if people interrupt you. So we let them come up with their own ideas about what would stop them, and then we agree as a group not to do those things if possible. We talk about positive intentions, about if it seems like I'm being mean to you or making fun of you, I'm not. So please don't assume that I am, and I'll do the same for you. If you're laughing when I'm talking, I'm going to assume positive intentions. I might ask you to to look at me, pay attention, but I'm not going to assume that you're a mean person and you don't like me. So we have those kinds of conversations. The other really powerful thing that I like to do in setting the space is sharing music. So after I sing a little bit, I usually ask the students to give me about 20 to 30 seconds of a song that has meaning to them. And I ask them to tell me why it has meaning. And you'd be amazed at some of the songs that really young people, middle school students, will come up with. I have expectations sometimes, I realize, and stereotypes about what kind of music people like. And so when someone sings a traditional folk song, because that's what their mom sang to them when they were growing up, it's pretty powerful when you hear that. And if they do have a favorite song from the radio, but you ask them why, what do they use that song for? Is it for rest? Is it for studying? And they tell you, you get some really cool answers. I have to preface that by saying, if you ask kids to sing, you have to give them a time limit, and you have to remind them that they're in public, that it needs to be school appropriate and language appropriate if you're in a school setting or work setting. So listening to them share their songs is awesome. And then you have to remember that no matter who is sharing, if someone opens their mouth to sing or read you a poem or tell you a story, they need to get applause. They need to get joy back, and it needs to be big, and it needs to be the same amount of big for everyone. You don't want to set up competition, and you don't want to. This is not a contest. This is not a place where you want somebody to feel like we loved the other person's story more than we love theirs. So you just decide that if somebody shares, you're gonna woo woo, and you're gonna raise the roof every time. So that's all about setting the space. You want it to set the physical space so it's comfortable and it's memorable and it's meaningful, whether it's around a piano or in a corner or around a campfire or just in a different room. You want to set the expectations of how you're going to talk to each other, what kinds of words are okay. Is it okay to physically touch? Probably not if you're at school, so you have to keep that in mind. There's no, you can't be hugging. If it's a family setting or work setting, that might be different, but you have to establish some of those things. And then just that sharing of what you think of as a good person, what the world would be better as, and this is a song that has meaning to me, and this is how I use music in my life. And just have that conversation and set that space. Keep in mind that when I do around the piano with students, it's usually over the course of weeks. I'm usually coming in once a week for 6 to 8 weeks, so we can do all of that in one day. If you just have 1 hour and you're trying to do the whole bunch of that, you're not going to be able to get as deep. So I recommend making this a part of your routine so that one day you have around the piano and then they know what that means. If you say come on down around the piano or come on down to our around the piano space, they will know what that means and you can dig deeper. So setting the space. So this is me beeping. Beep. All right, sorry, I'm going to stop doing that probably, but I do enjoy it. It makes me happy. So the next thing that I want to talk with you about is using the Around the Piano resource without a piano or a guitar. And I purposefully left my guitar behind me and the keyboards over there. All of the Around the Piano songs can be sung a cappella without accompaniment. I'm going to go ahead and sing the Travelin' song, not the Travelin' song, sorry, the Too Much Information Blues, which is the song that we worked on this week. And I'm just going to sing it a cappella so you can hear what it sounds like. And we're just going to work a cappella today, mostly. So, 1, 2. I've got the pure frustration, too much information blues. I've got the pure frustration, too much information blues. I've been feeling low down ever since I heard the news. I've got the pure frustration, too much information blues. I've got the pure frustration, too much information blues. I've been feeling low down ever since I heard the news. Okay, so you can do that. Just a cappella. And when you teach it, teaching it a cappella is just fine. So all of the songs can be sung a cappella. If you don't feel comfortable with that, if you have no music, if you don't feel like you have a musical ear and you need a little bit of help getting in, I want to tell you that there's a myriad of resources online. There are apps that you can download. I just downloaded one today. It's called My Acoustic Piano or something like that. And it's a phone, it's an app on my phone. With the Around the Piano songs, they're meant to be very easy. The chords there are very few chords in them, and they don't require a lot of accompaniment. So I'm just going to show you what I would do if I was using this app on my phone to do Too Much Information Blues. So the chords are C, F, and G. So I'm just going to find a C on the piano. A C is where if you have two of those black keys, the one to the left is a C. So this is C, D, E, F, G. And we're going to use C, F, and G. So, I've got the pure frustration, too much information blues. Then you go to the F. I've got the pure frustration, too much information blues. I've been feeling low down ever since I heard the news. So I did the C, the F, and the G. And on this keyboard, the good news is they're labeled. So you don't have to know what a C is. It says C on it, and it says F on it, and it says G on it. Okay? So that's just one thing that you could do. There are percussion backgrounds that you can get. You could probably even find something on YouTube. You can You can just have your students create. I showed you this at the workshop. There is, you can put anything into a little, was a lotion container. You can put anything in there. I've got some happy birthday beads, and you can just shake. I've got the pure frustration, too much information blues. I've got the pure frustration, too much information blues. Or you could, I've got the pure frustration, too much information blues. I'm doing it fast now. You don't have to do it fast, but that's some of the ideas. You don't need to have accompaniment in your class. You do not have to have a piano. You do not have to have a guitar. If you do have a piano or guitar and you have skills in that area, go crazy. You don't have to play it that simply. You can flourish it. You can have kids bring in instruments. You can put a penny in a jar and you've got a percussion instrument. I had little Easter eggs that I put pennies in, and I used those because you get like 30 of them in a bag. And I used those for years with students, and it worked out really, really well. So let's talk a little bit about teaching a new song. Before we do that, let's so in talking about what Around the Piano is, the goal at the end is that you have developed a personal code of character. A personal code of character is a set of guidelines or intentions that you use to help with making real life decisions. So in real life, I honestly have done this, and I've done this more than once. I've asked myself, what would a caring person do? What would a generous person do? I did that just today. What would a generous person do in this situation? What would a forgiving person do? What would a joyful person do in this situation? What would somebody who stands up for what they believe in do in this situation? So you can take any real life situation and have a discussion about your personal code of character or a personal code of character and ask, what would a person in that situation do? So, yeah. So I want to talk to you a little bit about teaching a new song. And the new song that we are working on is today, Too Much Information Blues. I don't know where my mouse goes. There it is. Okay. So these are the lyrics to Too Much Information Blues and an example verse. I usually teach songs by asking the students to hear them before they see them. That becomes important to me. So I want them to hear it musically, think about what they're hearing before they see the words. Then after, which you guys have done, you've heard it a couple of times now, then I'll let them see the words. With very young students, I'll do a lot of call and response. With older students and with adults, I just sing it a bunch of times and have them sing along. But an example of call and response, I would say, I've got the pure frustration, and then you do it. I've got the pure frustration, and then I do it. I've got the pure frustration, and then you do it. I've got the pure frustration, and then I say, okay, I'm going to add a line now. I've got the pure frustration, too much information blues, and now you do it with me. I've got the pure frustration, too much information blues, and then we do it again. And then we just go down. It's like, okay, now you notice that. What do you notice about this song? And invariably somebody will notice that you repeat that first line. So yeah, you repeat that first line. So let's do the first line twice. It's got a little bit of a different sound to it the second time, you'll notice though. I've got the pure frustration, too much information blues. I've got the pure frustration, too much information blues. And you might ask them to describe what is different between that first time through and the second time through. If you're playing an instrument, you'll be able to tell them that you switched to a different chord. So let's sing those first two lines again, which are exactly the same words, but a little bit different sound, slightly different. I've got the pure frustration, too much information blues. I've got the pure frustration, too much information blues. And then the third line, the third phrase, is always different in this style. This is 12-bar blues. So, I've been feeling low down. Now you. I've been feeling low down. And then me again. I've been feeling low down. And now you. Ever since I heard the news. So, I've been feeling low down. Ever since I heard the news. Now you. I've been feeling low down. Ever since I heard the news. Okay, and I would stick with that. Just stick with that, and depending on the students, I would stick with that until they got it. One of the things that can help you teach something repetitive and not have it feel like you're just being repetitive is, again, the call and response breaks it up a little bit. The using some music vocabulary to help them make the song different is also good. So here's some helpful music vocabulary. I usually don't start out by showing this. What I say is, how could we make this song different? Like if I wanted to make this song really sad, what would I do? And invariably someone says, sing it slower. And so I say, okay, do you know, so you want me to change the speed? And they say, yeah, make it slower. And I say, okay, did you know that the word for speed in music is tempo? So I'm going to change the tempo. And there are lots of different tempo words if you've studied music, and if you have a music vocabulary or a music encyclopedia or dictionary, music dictionary, you can look up some of those words. But largo is slow, allegro is fast. And you might not, depending on the kids, you might not bother with that. Just let them know that tempo is speed. So then, as you're trying to teach them too much information blues, you say, okay, let's sing it really slow and really sad. I've got the pure frustration, too much information blues. I've got the pure frustration, too much information blues. I've been feeling low down ever since I heard the news. And then you have them sing it like that, and then I say, okay, what would you change if you wanted to make it sound angry, like you were really mad at the world or mad at someone? And invariably someone will say, sing it louder. And I'll say, okay, so you want me to make it louder. Do you know what the word for louds and softs is? And they may or may not. You might have some music students, some singers in your classroom or some instrumentalists in your classroom. And if not, you can just say the word for volume is dynamics. And does that sound like any other words you might know? Dynamics. And they might say dynamite, and you have conversation about where that word came from. But dynamics is volume. Some dynamic words are forte, which means loud, and piano, which means soft. And there are lots more dynamics words. Fortissimo is very loud, and pianissimo is very soft. So you might try singing it very angrily with them. I've got the pure frustration, too much information blues. I've got the pure frustration, too much information blues. I've been feeling low down ever since I heard the news. And then you might say, what else did we change? And they said, well, they might say you sang it kind of differently. You sang it, you pronounced it differently. You pronounced it harder. And I'll say, okay, that's style. I changed the style in which I sing it. I changed the mood. I changed the texture. I enunciated it more with a harder consonant. And some of the words that you might share with your students, dolce is sweetly. When I was singing it very sadly, I sang it dolce. Short and separated is staccato. There are lots of different style words that you can use. You could even talk to them about the style of rock versus blues versus country versus a ballad, and talk just experimenting with it. And by the time you're done experimenting with it, you've probably sung the song now a good 15 times, and you've got it down. So you've got that feeling of ba da 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 ba da 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 ba da 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 ba da 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 ba ba da 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 dum ba da 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 da. So again, that's just getting that song in their head, and because you want them to be really comfortable with the melody when it comes to lyric writing, you want to have that in their head, and that is not something that you're able to do to the extent that you might want to in a short session where you're trying to get a lot of stuff done. But if you can meet with the students over the course of days and weeks, you can definitely get them very, very comfortable with the easy songs. All of the songs in the Around the Piano catalog are very short, very easy. When I started out with Around the Piano, the goal was just this songbook, Around the Piano character building, Around the Piano character building songs for teens and preteens. It was all about the songs. The program came later, so I developed the book, which I was selling. I no longer sell the book, and we'll talk about how you can get a copy of these songs if you want. But all of the songs are meant to be easy to sing and performable a cappella or with an accompaniment. So while we're here talking about the songs, I want to throw in a little thing that I'm just thinking of right now. These songs are not meant as concert songs. They're not meant for students to be standing up on the risers with perfect posture, singing very carefully so that it sounds great. You might find, though, you music teachers, that you might need another couple of songs in your concert, and it makes really good fun for students to share what they're learning. And so you could use this as an opportunity to dialogue with your audience about character and what your students are learning about character, and have them, come down around the piano during your concert, or even invite your guest as a last minute thing to gather around the piano with you and learn an Around the Piano song. You might feature students in a solo or duet or small group situation. You'd be amazed at how eager they are to do that. But just let the audience know that this is not choir. This is not choir per se. This is everybody sing. This is join in with us. This is fun. This is what we're learning about character and being a good person and all of that. So, so that's a little bit about teaching the songs and some helpful music vocabulary. Next subject, when you have men and boys in your group, when you have young boys, they can pretty much sing right there with you. Too much information blues is pretty flat range. I mean, the line is very flat. It's not real hard up and down. It is in a lower register. So what you might find is that your men they might struggle a little bit to sing it. So there's a couple of things you can do. If you're a musician and you want it to be more comfortable for your guys, you can change the key. You can transpose it to a higher key so that them singing an octave lower is not challenging. You can also let them sing where it is comfortable. So they might just accidentally write a harmony part for you. Again, this is not about perfect pitch. This is not about making it sound beautiful. It's about being a part of the song. So just make sure that you address that and let them know that whatever is coming out of their mouth is part of the sound that we want. We want them included. Too much information blues for your boys, probably up to 5th grade, is going to be just fine right where it is. It might even be a little bit low for them. So if I was teaching 2nd graders, I might change the key. I might bring it up a little bit. And just by doing that, instead of doing C, F, and G, I might do E. I might use E as my tonic. E, B flat, A. Oh, okay, so you can change it. The other thing that you might do for fun is ask them to come up with another, like something that could go over or under what you're doing. Something like, I've got the pure information blues. I've got the poor information blues. Anything like that. You can add speaking parts. Ask them what they would like to, if you're dealing with older people, students and adults, you can ask them to help you help them be comfortable with it. Is it too high? Is it too low? If you have a good range, you can try singing it with them in different octaves and that. But you're really probably going to be fine. I find that most boys and men just instinctively sing everything an octave lower unless it's too low. And then they'll just sing it right there with you. So if you want some more tips on that and some more specifics on that, it depends on the song. And if you get there's some other videos where I'm working with music, some of the other songs, you might notice that they would seem a little bit high for your gentleman. We worked on the song I'm going to use music. I'm going to use music. I'm going to use the strength of song. Yada yada yada. The men might be, I'm going to use music. I'm going to use the strength of song, which is too low for me, but for your gentleman it might be just fine. So it's a matter of finding that happy place. We're not always going to be in unison. There's going to be some other notes that you hear. All right. Let's see. Oh, sharing lyrics. I want to talk to you about sharing lyrics and writing lyrics. So before you start writing lyrics, after you've taught the song, you want to get your students thinking about their personal code of character. So again, a personal code of character is that guiding phrase that helps you through life. So I would ask, after having the conversation, so this might be week 3, or it might be day 1 and again on week 3, I ask my students, my participants, to write a personal code of character. I will be joyful, present, and kind. I will be confident and jolly and forgiving. So whatever it is, and it doesn't have to fit this format. You can say, I will stand up for what I believe in. I will not give up. I will take care of my physical self. I will be a caregiver. There are lots of ways that you can say it, and depending on the conversations that you've had, you can lead up to that. There's several different formats you can write for a personal code of character. You can say, because I want, I will. Because I want a more peaceful world, I will be nonviolent. Because I want to be rich, I will be responsible. So once you get to the point where you're having your students write a personal code of character, then the next step is to ask them to give you an example. I usually ask students to write a story of an example, something that happened to them where their personal code of character would have made a difference. Students will share things like when they were babysitting, somebody wanted them to talk on the phone too much, and then they decided not to because that wasn't responsible. So they might write, if I am babysitting and someone calls to just talk on the phone, I will politely ask them to call me back when I'm home. And that would be an example of being responsible. So if their code of character was responsible. So you can do it that way. Or you could just ask them to respond to situations that you've created. Like if you're in the movie theater and the people in front of you are being really loud and blocking your view and they're throwing popcorn and you really want to watch the movie, your personal code of character you said your personal code of character was being peaceful. What do you do in this situation? Or if your personal code of character was to stand up for what you believe in, what do you do in this situation? And then you ask, what other decisions might someone else who had a different code of character make? Is there a right or wrong answer? And how do you know if you've done the right thing? So these are conversations that you can have. So at this point, in your session, like I said, this might be weeks in, you have a personal code of character draft. And it might be, as I say, it might be scribbled on the back of something, or it might be laminatable. That means you're ready to go. You're going to carry this around with you, and it's going to guide you. And then you have some examples of what your code of character will look like. So then our next step is to write lyrics that express your code of character. So thinking about how to write lyrics, and we're still thinking about for Too Much Information Blues, but this works for all of the songs. You decide what style, what is your mode of it? Are your lyrics going to be angry or joyful or peaceful or reflective? And then kind of set that in your head. Keep in mind that your lyrics don't have to rhyme. You can write loose verse. You can write loose rhymes like joy and choice, or very specific rhymes like joy and toy. You can write a verse, a bridge, or a freestyle rap. Now, the Too Much Information Blues song, as we've learned, it doesn't have a bridge, but we could create one. We could say, okay, we're just singing the same melody over and over again. What could we do in the middle of this song as a segue so that we're breaking it up? And that might be for your more advanced classes. Many of the Around the Piano songs have a bridge in them. So that is, a bridge is like, it bridges. You've got a verse, a chorus, a verse, a chorus, and then a bridge, and then maybe a verse, chorus. Or you might just have chorus, chorus, verse, bridge, chorus, chorus. The bridge is something unique, and it usually only happens once in the song. A freestyle rap, I've been asked not to rap by students before, but I usually try and give them example, just off the top of my head for Too Much Information Blues. What you'd want to have kind of that thought in your head, and you might have the class do that, and then the person who's rapping might be, I went to the store and I bought lots of shit and I can't do it, but okay. So just making up random rap is kind of hard for me, but I know that there are students who are very good at that. And so if you can give them that opportunity to do that while the melody is still present, so you're still in that same kind of timeline of how long the song is, that is a wonderful thing to do. So you give them an opportunity to write the lyrics. And here's something that I didn't get to talk about in our workshop very much, because again, we weren't in the same space, and we were doing it all in a short amount of time. The first thing that's going to happen is you're going to get students who don't know what you mean. And so give them some examples. I had some example lyrics, sample lyrics that you could use. One of the one that I used in our workshop was, something really sad happened to my best friend yesterday. Something really sad happened to my best friend yesterday. I want to make her feel better, but I don't know what to say. And so it fits in, ba-da-da-da, something really sad happened to my best friend yesterday. Something really sad happened to my best friend yesterday. I want to make her feel better, but I don't know what to say. I'm going to use my cheating piano here for a second and just make sure I'm still. Something really sad happened to my best friend yesterday. Something really sad happened to my best friend yesterday. I want to make her feel better, but I don't know what to say. All right, so that's an example. So then the next thing you do is, okay, what should I write my lyrics about? You can write your lyrics about your code of character. Because I want a peaceful world, I'll be nonviolent. Because I want a peaceful world, I'll be nonviolent. But if you make me mad, I'm gonna try really hard to not to vent. Or maybe something like, but if I get really frustrated, I might just have to vent. Right? Because I want a peaceful world, I'll be nonviolent. Because I want a peaceful world, I'll be nonviolent. But when stupid things happen, I think I have to vent. Okay, so did you see that troubleshooting that I did? I was trying to come up with a rhyme. It didn't work. It didn't make sense. And then I went back and I reworked it so that it fit into that framework. And part of that is having the time to really learn that song so that it gets that melody gets stuck in your head and you have a sense of how long you should have. So the first thing that's going to happen is you're going to have students that don't understand how to do it, and then you just give them examples and then you show them how to do it, and you take the time to like look at how long the phrase is, how much time do you have, hum it to them, da 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 da. How could you say what you're thinking that? So they can write about their code of character. They can write a story. They can say, I was at the movies, people were being rude. When I was at the movies, people were being rude. I got up and left because keep my attitude. Okay, something like that would work. With a song that's as short as Too Much Information Blues, and they only really have those 2 lines to make a statement, they can write more than 1 verse. You could put both of those verses together and then sing the chorus in between them. If students have a really hard time fitting their lyrics into the format, that is a troubleshooting, problem-solving skill that is helpful for them to try it. So not to give up, just to keep to try it and try it again. However, when you get to the point of sharing, if they have a hard time getting it, you just try your best to sing what they've written. You try your best to sing it with them as they've written it. So in a real life in-person session where you've got a group of people who are gathered around a circle, rather sitting or standing, or gathered around the piano, the really powerful thing is not just me writing my lyrics and not me just telling you my lyrics and me singing my lyrics to you. That's all powerful. But the really powerful thing is when you sing my lyrics back to me. So this is my favorite one. When you have in a classroom, you have all different kinds of people. And I have had in one classroom students who bullied and students who are bullied. And one of my most powerful moments was when the student who was bullied had written lyrics that basically said, my heart's breaking, I've been bullied. I can't remember what song it was that this was on, but that was the gist of their lyrics. And then we all together sang, my heart's breaking, I've been bullied. And we sang it, and we sang it a couple of times together. Even the person who was the bully was in that moment singing that lyrics. I've had people talk in their lyrics about something harsh that happened to them, something in their family, something outside of school that might, a little dark and deep. And we're careful with that. We're careful about honoring people's privacy, and I give everybody an opportunity to decide what they want to share with us and stories they want to tell. But we've heard some really important stories, and singing those lyrics with those students who are struggling with different things is very powerful because they get to hear their heart sung back at them. And while you're singing it, you cannot help but empathize with them a little bit because you're saying I in a place that it's not really you, but you're in that moment, you're saying I, and it's really powerful. So I encourage you, if you have an opportunity, to do that. But the issue with that is everyone who wants to share has to have an opportunity to share so that it's not that favoritism thing again and it's not the same people all the time. So if you're going to have people share lyrics, you want to make sure that you have a lot of time, so that if there are a lot of people who want to participate, that you have that. The flip side of that is have something prepared to do if not a lot of people might want to share, and then so that you're not just killing a whole day going anyone. So yeah, that's very, very powerful, the sharing of lyrics. Um, Next topic, we're going to talk about personal code of character conversation starters. Okay, so before we get to this next slide, some conversation starters to talk about a personal code of character. Those are like your headings, your entry task at the beginning. If you have an Around the Piano character building songs for teens and preteens book, each of the songs has a little blurb that gives you some ideas, and I'll tell you what it says for Too Much Information Blues. It says possible discussion starters. I recommend writing your own verse to share with students. Tell them a story about a time when things weren't going the way you wanted. How did you deal with it? So for Too Much Information Blues, clearly it's like kind of a downer. And so the next question is, have your students ever had to deal with bad news? And you have a conversation about that. Can bad news be something you laugh at later? I have a lot of stories where I was humiliated or embarrassed in middle school and high school that now I laugh at, but I still feel them. And then, does singing about problems help? Does sharing problems with others help you? And those are some conversation starters. So you ask them, have you ever had a song help you feel better? Do you ever listen to depressing music when you're feeling bad and it kind of makes you feel better? Are some of the best songs about, a bad day? And how does that feel? And how do you feel when someone tells you about their bad day or an experience they've had, and they share that with you and give you an opportunity to reflect on that with them? So that is the conversation starter for Too Much Information Blues as it stands in the Around the Piano booklet. There are also Around the Piano supplements, also not for sale, but I'll let you know how you can go about getting some of that if that's something that you want. Looking back at the things that I said I would try and get to. Conversation starters. Oh, and we talked about how to write a personal code of character, so that is good. For lyric writing, conversation starters that have to do with your specific content. So that is a conversation that we had during our workshop. It's like, how are we we're going to integrate music and character education into the content that you are already teaching, be it language arts, social studies, math, science, leadership, band, orchestra, choir, physical fitness, health and fitness, whatever it is that you're teaching, French, German. How do you teach that in your session? So one of the ways to do it is by changing the chorus. So you can change the chorus from being Too Much Information Blues to be I've got cellular replication. I've got cellular replication. Mitosis blues, or something like that. And then, use some of your vocabulary that you have. In 1911, something happened. I don't know what, but something happened. In 1911, something happened. This I know. And then maybe say what it is and have that be the chorus. And then again, in the same way that I had Too Much Information Blues over and over and over again, you use that as a repetitive phrase to teach that fact that you want to teach. And then you ask students to take your content and make a verse about that. So if I was trying to teach say I was doing a language arts class and I was talking about maybe the parts of a sentence, I might have my chorus be all about subjects and verbs, and then I might ask the students to write a verse about adjectives and adverbs and how those function. And then I would still have them write the character verse so that you have that mixture of content and character and music. And then I would ask them to maybe write one verse that is, where they change the dynamics throughout, and one where they change the tempo throughout, or something like that. You can play around with a lot of different things. So to write lyrics to help reinforce what you are teaching. Same kind of troubleshooting. How do you fit it into that song format? What do you do if it doesn't? Again, the freestyle rap option, it frees you up quite a bit. And you can even have a freestyle singing version, but just make sure that you've got that same, we're trying to get that musical togetherness, and it's really hard to sing someone else's lyrics if they don't fit into some sort of format with you, okay? So the other thing that I wanted to talk with you about is some ideas for people in special groups. So if you have students who don't have English as their first language, there are a lot of ways that you can honor and celebrate that. You can share that you're impressed that they're doing so well, being with all that they're going through and dealing with, having to learn a new language, because we know that that's not always easy, especially for us. And invite them to sing or rewrite part of the song in a language that is comfortable for them, making sure that they kind of interpret and share it with us. And then if they can teach us how to sing a phrase in their native language, that's beautiful, because then we're all going to be singing it back, and we will all have learned something. So that's one. If you have students who are non-vocal, we talked about our, making our percussion instruments. We talked about our body percussion. We use a lot of heartbeats. These kinds of things are fine. Movements. Add movements. Standing in a circle, use stomp, stomp, clap. You can move around the circle. Lots of things like that you can do. You can, I'm trying to think of other special needs. Obviously, if you have students who are wheelchair bound or who have difficulty moving, making sure that they are a part of that circle, and that they can be in that eye contact with everybody else, and that everybody understands that. And again, asking those students what they need and what they're most comfortable with is your best bet always, and including them in the decisions about how you're going to function as a group with people who have different needs. For your especially gifted students, again, that's one of those where let them run with it. Let them have ideas. Ask questions. Don't always just feed the answer. You can have students helping each other, not with coming up with, not necessarily in the story writing process, but in the lyric writing process. If someone is really good at, who's musically gifted, you could ask them to help other students get their thoughts into that format. You can, I always volunteer for students who don't like to sing. I volunteer to sing their lyrics for them the first time, and then have the group sing with me. So if you have a musically gifted student, you might say, would it be okay if Mary sang your lyrics for you? If someone has lyrics that they're proud of, but they're just scared to sing, have those gifted students do that. For your students who are leaders in your classroom, in your school, if you have a leadership class, I think this would be a great opportunity to build a leadership team. One of the things that I really, really want to do, so if you're out there and you're listening and this is something that you would appreciate, what I really want to do is work with a leadership class using Around the Piano, getting them singing together, getting them talking about good care, getting them comfortable with 2 or 3 of these songs, and then letting them go out and work with some of the younger students, or even students in their own classes. If you have your high school student body president or your middle school student body president, having them go into a classroom and do an Around the Piano session with students that look up to them, I think would be really cool and really different and kind of surprising, I think. And I think it's important that not only students who sing well do Around the Piano. This is a way to get music everywhere, infused in every part of our lives. I truly believe that the world will be a better place when more people sing. Let me say that again. The world will be a better place when more people sing. More people are singing. So that is the session. So I wanted to share that with you, and I hope that this was some useful information, and I hope I answered some questions. Please know that I am so happy and honored to answer any more questions that you might have. So put those in the comments, and I will respond likewise. Check out allaroundthepiano.com, and there's comments section. There's a contact us section there. There's a comment section there, so you can reach out that way. If you would like a copy of the Around the Piano Character Building for Teens and Preteens booklet, there are 10 songs and there are 10 lesson plans. I'm not selling them anymore, but I will give them with a donation that covers postage and handling, which is just me, and making sure that I have one. So if you want to get a booklet, before you do that, please send me a message in the go to allaroundthepiano.com and use the contact form and let me know what you want, and then I'll let you know what kind of donation would be appropriate for that, or you can give me an example of what you can afford, and I'll happily work with you on that, because I want you to have this. There are also supplements. The supplements for Around the Piano are my cat chewed on this one. There's the Eye of the Seeker. Beauty is in the eye of the seeker. So basically you get what you're looking for. That's around. And It's All Right to Breathe is about being in the present moment, taking a deep breath, and not being so reactive. This one is a little bit more challenging, maybe for some of the older students or adults, but it's a really pretty song. It's All Right to Breathe. And the last supplement is I Think I Understand. And it's about being forgiving and in some very specific situations. Again, maybe addressed for your middle school. Your 5th and 6th would do great with it. And even elementary school kids would do great with it. It'll just take, like really young kids, it would just take a little bit more time to teach them. The original Around the Piano 10 songs, pretty straight up easy. My goal in creating them was to have them not be sing-songy and little kid songy. So they are blues, jazz, kind of a rock feel. Some of them are ballady, but absolutely learnable for all age groups. And like I said, so I do accept donations at allaroundthepiano.com, and if you want one of the books, we'll make it happen. We'll work it out. But just send me a message in the contacts at allaroundthepiano.com or in the comments here on this YouTube video, and I'll do my best to get that back to you. Have a wonderful day. Thank you.